All right, welcome everyone to the finance meeting. It's April 20th, a little after 6. I'll ask everyone to please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Do a quick roll call. Councilmember Gully is on his way. Councilmember Figueroa is absent. Councilmember Steele.
Present.
Councilmember Men. Councilmember. Thank you. Councilmember Soriento.
Here.
Council President Mantello is here. We have 5 present, 2 absent, 1 on their way. Presentation of the agenda. As you can see, we're going to be here a long time tonight. I'm kidding. We only have 1 item, which means we'll have several items for finance yet to be scheduled. Without further ado, we're going to hit our first presentation. I want to welcome Kevin Betty. I want to welcome Joe and Kevin. If you guys want to come up to the table. So, you know, as many folks know, and to the thousands of folks who are on YouTube right now, our lease has expired here at City Hall in December of 2023. So we have been leasing this floor since 2012, I believe. And Councilmember Gully is on his way in. Hello, Councilmember. And First Columbia has been working with the city on a potential stay here at City Hall, and they have a presentation for the City Council. So if you guys want to take it away, and feel free to kind of give an overview, and we'll take it from there.
No? Okay.
Awesome.
Thank you very much, Ms. President, for inviting us in. Yes, we've been working hard on a proposal that will make City Hall even better. But I wanted to step back for a second because back the old City Hall on the river, the mayor at the time, Tatunjan, we went through the operating expenses, which were enormous for that property. And I was actually involved when they had to close it down. I used to be a structural engineer, and I explained that the lack of maintenance really was substantial and that you should get the building checked out. Then, I helped that administration move into another spot and helped to understand the economics of doing that. It saved the city an enormous amount of money. That landlord wasn't very cooperative. We were vacated by the state, and the Rosamilla administration had to move out of that building at 1776. We wanted them to come here because we lost the state. So we agreed to pay the operating expenses. So we've been paying for 10 years, all of the city's operating expenses, keeping your rent extremely low. And both of us were in the same situation. The city was trying to be fiscally responsible, which we've done. And together we've done a lot of good things because we've now encouraged a lot of growth. The city's on the rebound. We've been working hand in hand with your administration now. And I think things are getting a lot better. So I think it's important that we continue to work together. And Carmela's been great in working with us. We've been working with the mayor and the deputy mayor on a lot of plans, but we wanted to engage the city council and ask you if you want to have a subcommittee or if you want us to present entirety. We don't know exactly how you want to handle this administratively because it's a once every 10-year kind of thing. So what we've done is we've asked our real estate group to first assess rental rates and costs and whatnot, and to try to give you some idea of the economics that you're dealing with. So Kevin and his team on the real estate side have looked at what'd you look at, like 50 city halls built around the country. If you go to the list, Kev, there's a database that we'll turn over to you that shows just historic costs. These are all pre-COVID of what it would cost to build a city hall and how big a city hall should be, which is kind of what was interesting to me. It turns out to be 1 square foot per capita is the average size of a city hall. Because we wanted to make sure you're right sized and you're not too big or too small. So it seems like you're under the average, which is good. The average cost, I forget what it is, Kev, to build a new city hall is how much per square foot is it? $490 a square foot. And that doesn't include the land and parking. That's with the land. Okay, so to build a new city hall these days, and because I know that's one of the alternatives that you got to take a look at, you're talking about spending $25 million. What we want to then take a look at, okay, if you could buy an existing building and try to retrofit it, or you can continue to lease. And what we have shown is that continuing to lease is going to be a fraction of the cost of doing a new city hall. So when we were talking with the deputy mayor about this whole situation, he pointed out, well, there's deficiencies with city hall. So we sent our architecture team in here, and we've come up with a plan that is kind of modeled after how they run Boston City Hall. It's accessible to the public, but it's safe and secure for the employees. And the way we're going to do that is around the elevator core. If you go to the floor plans, Kev, you can, we're going to build a public gallery, and each department would be off that gallery. And so the public would be able to circulate into the public space. There's security when you get off the elevators. So if you look at the elevator plan here.
Kev, if I don't mind, real quick. So you're saying off of the 5th floor, 1st floor?
No, this is on the
Okay.
5th floor.
Still the 5th. Okay,
Yeah.
sorry.
To do this, Kev, where we're sitting right now is right over
Yeah.
here. To do the renovation, we're planning on moving the council chamber down to the 1st floor. Makes it a bigger and better space, and the public could stay on the 1st floor, and we have the security right out front. So where Benny and Julia sit, right behind that is where the council chamber would be in our new plan. And that would enable to keep the building shut down and keep it more secure. And I want to talk about security. So the security lapse that recently, and I think the police department is still investigating, we had a individual obtain access through our fault through one of the doors, which we've identified and secured that. And then there were several unopened doors coming in, including City Hall, one of the tenants on the 6th floor. So an individual, somewhat mischievous, it wasn't as, criminal, but we've addressed that. And part of our plan here is how do we make City Hall more secure, but make it open to the public. And we looked at Boston City Hall in particular, and they did a nice job. They had this gallery type of area. So the white corridor area is the central public corridor. Each department would have its own lockable door. There would be glass and access to step up to the window to each department, whether you're going to the comptroller, the treasurer's office, the city clerk. That would be bulletproof glass. And the public wouldn't have any access into the office space under this plan. And we think that this is a really smart way to have open government, but to be more secure. And in doing this, we would move what is now the mayor's office to where this council chamber is in engineering down here, because we would renovate department by department as we move through the building. Upon completion, this would provide, we think, a very cost-effective, very smart plan for City Hall. And again, we've been working with the mayor and deputy mayor on other alternatives and haven't come up with any. I think your council has even looked at some other sites. It's hard to find the location that has parking, public access, prominence. So we have all those attributes here at the Headley Building. What we don't have is a more uniform functioning space. We think this plan does it, and we think it does it very cost effectively. So I guess we're here today. We can answer any of your questions, but we didn't know if there was a group from the council or the whole council that wants to get into the nitty gritty of all the design assumptions, or if you're really just interested in the costs, or as the finance
Yeah.
council. So
I can't speak on behalf of the full council, but I would take a guess that the full council probably wants to, be very involved. And Kevin and I have spoken, and, my kind of biggest concern, and I've expressed this like from day one, from after I was elected, the fact that I really feel the Headley Building does not symbolize or give City Hall an identity. Like our council chamber, we have fold-in tables, and it's not a city hall. It's kind of a temporary city floor, more or less. But Kevin's proposal, which you could go into a little more, gives a little more identity for City Hall. And I like that concept. We did have a special committee, as many folks know, several years ago. They did look at a couple buildings, but it was a voluntary committee. No money went into the committee and things to that. There is money for an RFP to look at some sites, but as you said, our lease has expired. I did not realize that First Columbia is paying the operating expenses. Was there a ceiling on after it expired, Kevin, or
so the
an
current
escalation? I'm sorry.
the original lease agreement, this was a state office, so the city at the time didn't have time. The building didn't have an elevator. They were mad at the landlord, so it was a quick move on the city's part, and we recognized that. And that's why we said, hey, we'll pay the operating expenses. Just come on over here. And in the course of those 10 years, we've realized the deficiencies. And as you pointed out correctly, we plan on having more identification. We have to get the historic people to approve the sign that we want to put out front, but they'll do
Kevin
that.
and I talked about that. There's
We-
no sign.
We think we can make this a very prominent, identifiable city hall. It is the most identifiable building in the city because it's tall and everybody knows where the smokestack is. It's easy to get to. We got plenty of parking. It's on public transportation. It's on the river. When you look at, it's right in the center of the city too. And coming down Hoosick and River is really the crux of getting around the city. So we think this location works well for you. As I said, the deficiencies of identifiable city hall and not making it look temporary. Kev, show some of the renderings of the interior. So this would be the council chamber on the downstairs. So it's wider than this room. The ceilings will be higher. It'll be purpose built as city hall. This is on the first floor, right behind where Benny sits as you come in down here. To the left is a doorway with a private meeting room. So if the council wanted to go in private session, there's a meeting room right outside of there. We talked with the mayor about possibly putting a planning board meeting room next to it downstairs as well. But there's an office, there's a conference room at the end of the public corridor that is where the mayor's office is now, and the deputy mayor, which is a fantastic room. And it's kind of a multi-purpose room. So if you go back to the floor plan second, Kev.
Sure.
I can
Yes,
show you.
Council Member
I think that
Gully.
was said before, so
Yep.
Is that room any wider than this room?
Yes. What, we're stuck with the concrete columns that are on a 22-foot spacing. But the wall is behind the columns on both sides.
Sometimes, yeah.
Sorry.
We need a new PA system.
So it's a little bit wider.
Yeah.
The lighting will be better. We'll make the ceiling higher. We can put everybody on a dais if they want, or you can have it down low. We're going to wire it for AV. So make it purposely built. I mean, this was a conference room for the state. If you take a look at our main gallery down here, at the end, you have this large conference room, 2 floors, 12, 14, easily you can make it even bigger. That would be a great staff conference room. This is the great view right down the river, look through the bridge. We also have a multi-purpose room here, which we thought would be great for communities, organizations, if you wanted to provide space for any organizations or special programs to have a multi-purpose room. We also thought you could display to some of the artifacts. I mean, the Historical Society has so much history, and there's so much incredible to convey about Troy to people. We wanted the office to people feel that. So as you walk down this gallery, we planned on putting artwork in. I don't know if you saw down in the food hall, the back corridor, we have a historic riverscape of what buildings used to be in this vicinity here. You can make wallpaper out of anything now. It's actually really cool. So part of the design our guys came up with was to put big murals of historical as you come in this gallery space. So we have a big break room for employees. The city's like every other tenant that we have is you're trying to attract high quality tenants. You need to give them great office space in order to work in. So we think it creates a great environment for the employees. They have this big break room, which is right behind the bathroom core. So if you come up a little bit, Kev, you can see the elevator core here. So you come off the elevators and we put security right here, and down at this end is the mayor's office. So again, we're taking engineering out of here, putting them in the back corner. As we renovate, we're just going to flip flop those two. So the mayor's office will have this corner view overlooking the city, reception for the mayor's office in this core. These departments are basically here. So the kind of smartness of this plan is it doesn't really move a lot of people around. It just takes the public from being inside their offices and protects them better. So when you're in this corridor and you have these windows, there's public seating out here. And if you need to meet with someone from the public, we have these huddle rooms. So the staff would come out of the treasurer's office and meet you out here rather than bringing you in to the department. So once you're in your department office behind the wall, you're safe and you're protected. Yeah, this is the rendering of what the gallery space will look like. Security desk, the elevators are over here,
Yes, that's the 5th floor. Yeah.
right? It's the same 5th floor. So again, it's kind of modeled after what the city of Boston did with their space. And we think it's very smart to create that public. So it's open government and everybody has access to where they want to go, but it's safe and secure. And it's the right size. So this is about 36,000. Even with downstairs, I think it's 44,000. So you're under the 50,000 kind of target range, which we would shoot for based on the other comparable city halls.
So with downstairs, you're saying it'd be 44.
Yeah.
40,000.
Right.
4K downstairs, 36 up there.
Right.
Real quick, when we talk about the proposal, Kevin, the enhanced city hall amenities, et cetera, the retrofit, would that be all costs to the city, or has that not been discussed yet?
Yep.
Because, and I apologize, I guess my biggest thing on that is we're not going to own it. You know what I mean? That's a huge investment, but
Right, right. So we're talking about doing another longer term extension, and we want you to decide, yes, we like it here, and we like the new plan. It was discussed that the city would put in some of the whatever you call that money from COVID.
ARPA,
And we would contribute some of the money. We haven't finalized any of those negotiations because we didn't know who to negotiate that with. That's kind of why we're here. First, we had to get to the point where we had a very solid plan, which we think we do. It took us a while to get there. But we think we've worked with all the department heads, and staff wise, we think it works for all your different departments. And, the city government is a complex business, right? You have all kinds of different things happening. You have all kinds of different people coming in, going. So it's crucial that the flow works. And that's what we spent a lot of time getting here. And when we looked at a lot of the other city halls, we actually see a lot of waste and, and even with the council chamber, we had made a proposal that we could rent that out to other tenants in the building. Even on weekends, we think people would have wedding ceremonies in the council chamber on Saturdays and go upstairs to weddings in the evening. So there might be a way, because it's on the first floor, to have that generate some revenue to offset cost to the city. We've also made it known that the 9th floor could be available to the city. Let's say you have a large planning meeting or a large city meeting or the state of the city address. We would make the 9th floor event space available to the city for things like that. We've done that in the past, and I think it's worked out very, very well.
yep, Councilmember Gully.
Would something like that be built to the lease, or would that be an additional expense every time they use that area?
Well, that I have to talk to the tenant upstairs, and we haven't gotten into those details. And so that's the point we're at now is getting down to saying, okay, who do we discuss the financial details with?
I got here late and I apologize for that. No excuses, just my fault. What is have you guys talked any terms or, proposed any terms on this transition? From where we were, like the lease agreement that we have now to a future lease agreement, have you discussed any of that with the administration?
We
share those numbers with us if you have.
We have not gotten into those discussions. We wanted to, we met informally with Carmela, we met informally with the mayor. Both of them seemed to be supportive. We advanced this to this point. We're waiting to meet to say, who do I talk to about those types of details? And
do you have numbers like in your mind? Do you know what this, you must have a projection with the course you could build out or what terms you would.
Yeah.
Like. Can you discuss those with us?
Yep. Kev, do you have the build out cost? Not on this. It was $1 million, 1.3 million was with the downstairs space.
And just so the council's aware, full disclosure, I did ask Kevin to come tonight so we could all just discuss what's been discussed, which no details in terms of numbers. And that's the first I heard of the 1.3, but more the concept. And, and the same with Councilmember Steele.
Yep. Right. It was all new furniture for all the departments, new HVAC, all new energy efficient heat pumps. There's things in there that the deputy mayor had requested that we make sure we consider. So
can we get a list of things that were requested, and can we get some type of, at some point, will we get some evaluation of the numbers where you guys are looking to go?
Yep.
Because without numbers, I'm just sitting here discussing your project.
Right. We weren't expecting at a public meeting to be doing that kind of thing. So what we were asking for, if you had a subcommittee, usually is the way you do it, and say, okay, these guys are going to hammer out the details with us and then bring it back to the whole council, right?
Yeah, then we bring it to the finance.
Council
Right.
President,
Yes, Councilmember Steele.
Kevin, can you just correct the actual number? Was it 1.13 or 1.3?
For the build out, it was just a budget. We had done a budget for the deputy mayor for the build out, so he could see how much of that ARPA dollars that they would be budgeting. It's not a final cost
Right,
because,
I understand that.
okay,
So
right.
I didn't hear though. Could you just repeat what you were estimating?
1.3 was the
1.3. Thank you.
budgeted build out, yes.
Chair.
Yep, hold on, Councilmember Steele, all good?
Yes, thank you.
Good. Councilmember Mann.
42,000 square feet, correct? 40,000.
40,000.
And 1.3 furnished, correct?
With furniture is the renovating cost, yes,
So the 1.3 includes the furniture.
yes,
Okay,
And signage outside exterior.
yes.
Signage, audio. So $32.50 square foot, basically.
Yep.
I think I've got. the
No.
guide.
there you go. You're good. Yeah,
Oh, I've got the.
you got to go right in.
Bring it closer.
You're good.
I'm sorry. So furnished signage, AV, 1.3 million, 40,000 square feet is $32.50 a square foot.
How much?
$32.50 a square foot. That,
Sounds right.
this is right. And you said average cost for.
A new city hall,
About 400 square foot.
yes. So it's a fraction of the cost just to renovate this into what would be comparable to that.
Well, that added to the lease payment.
Correct.
Councilmember
Yeah.
Gully.
I mean, that would be the number, not just that fraction.
You're right, yes.
Correct. Sorry, Council President.
That's okay. Do you want to continue?
I just wanted to go back though, when
Sure, Kev.
the old city hall, the operating costs were in the millions for
Well,
that
that was a
building.
bad.
No, I know,
yeah.
but you know, you got to realize that the private sector is very efficient, much more so at taking care of properties. And I think we're trying our hardest to do a good job with that here. It's hard municipally. And also, you know, Joe runs our operations here. You guys know Joe. We save a lot of money being in this multi-tenanted building for the city because you're only paying for 1/9 of the operating expenses, basically. So our staff that you don't need to have anymore. You know, we have Caesar and JJ and building attendants to take care of problems. We're managing the electric costs. We're doing a lot of things that help to make it more efficient to operate your government here.
Council President.
Councilmember Ben, and I believe Councilmember Gully.
So just to start sort of outlining operating costs included in the lease. So landlord pays electric,
Right now, you pay your own electric bill. We pay the common area electric. Our operating expenses for this building are only $6.25 a square foot. Right now, we've been paying that on your behalf. That was a deal we made 10 years ago. So you're only paying,
that's sort of for common spaces.
that's the common operating expenses. So insurance, maintenance, all those costs that Joe manages. So you pay a little over $10. You basically pay $4 a square foot for your office space right now, which is crazy low. That was a deal that we made. We still can make it very attractive for the city economically, even with doing these renovations.
So combined, basically, we're paying $10.20 per square foot for both rent for office space and then the operating costs that the
Right.
share costs that we get.
You're paying that gross, correct?
Correct.
So we've given the city an incredibly good deal to get you to be here. And we didn't have to do a lot of renovation space. I think the original renovation ran, I think, $350,000 to move the city in the first place. Bill Chamberlain was great, by the way.
Absolutely.
He was a great guy. He was very cost effective, worked well with our staff, and the move went very smoothly. We knew that we were going to make changes over time, but without Bill, it never materialized, basically.
Gotcha. Awesome.
Um,
You can
Just
say,
one-
go ahead, go ahead.
one other question is, if you were doing a retrofit, then would you be doing any kind of updating in terms of electrical, plumbing? Would you use that opportunity if you have certain spaces empty?
Yes. So electric was one of the most important ones. So we wanted to make sure we replaced all of the heat pumps with high efficiency electric heat pumps. I believe the bathrooms are going to be retrofitted in this whole proposal. Lighting is going to be updated, especially in that gallery area, more energy efficient lighting. The new council chambers will have much better lighting and much better audio acoustic space in there as well.
Councilmember Gully.
Is your plan for this remodel specific to City Hall, or is it going to generate through the other businesses in the building also? Are you doing this unilaterally with the other businesses or just City Hall?
Well, this is just for City Hall.
Our deal is, but I'm saying outside of that, you plan to do what other businesses? Are you looking to remodel other parts of the building to,
Well, most of the building is been remodeled. Since the city's moved in, like I said, we've continued to be your cheerleaders and your sales team, basically, by bringing jobs in here. And what I said to Mayor Russ Miller when he came here, I said, you move into the building, I will then commit to continue to invest our capital and our presence to attract more businesses here. So since the city moved in, I think we brought in over 800 new jobs into this building. So most of those spaces in the building have already been renovated. We have some dynamite tenants here. The KW Power guys are phenomenal. Continue to hire high-paying engineering jobs. They work all over the world. Down on the fourth floor, the Deep Blue company just got bought by Comcast, nationally recognized Wi-Fi technology. So I think it's been great to have government and business, and the different administrations have been very helpful in us. We've been out in front in the sales, and then usually the mayors are closing the deals, welcoming them to the city and, helping to promote the growth. So, my commitment to you guys is I'm going to continue to do what I'm doing here in the city. We're really excited about the new plan just north of here in North Central. We're going to continue to invest our money. We'd love to continue a close working relationship with the administration and the council to accomplish those things.
so what the heck happened to that volume? Must have got energized. So I want to go back to my original question. That means that you are only doing this build out for City Hall.
Correct.
Okay. You guys know for a long time, some council members over the past few years have said, the taxpayers deserve their own building. That's one of the reasons why we put that committee together. And it's not as though we don't like the Headley building. We don't like the Headley atmosphere. It's a fact that, some of us believe that the taxpayers deserve a place that they have that's theirs. And I know that the numbers are big on that. And we've tried, and the locations are minimal, if any. The few opportunities we have were not anywhere around the downtown area. And this administration had felt that was not conducive to administrative process. And whether wrong or right, there's not very many places to go. But you guys do know that some of us really would like to see the taxpayers have something they call their own. Not saying that this is a bad thing, because I think it's a great thing. The pictures are beautiful, and about time we get away from these plastic tables. I mean, 7 years, I'll be gone, but I'm hoping everybody else can have a better existence.
Well, I understand that thought. Okay. And that's the normal mentality. It's traditional. I think Troy is on the edge of the new way of doing business. And you're being very financially prudent by doing this in a lease situation. It's very cost effective for you. Ownership's a state of mind, and ownership comes with its downfalls too. And like I said, it's all those operating costs, all the maintenance costs. We are very efficient, and together we've gotten the city to the point where now you can even start having conversations about City Hall. Before you couldn't, okay? Before it was there was no alternative. You were leasing space because of the financial situation that everyone was in. You couldn't borrow $30 million to go build a new City Hall. I think that, as I look at this area, Troy's done well because it's been open to business and it's been financially prudent to business. It hasn't been free to business. It's been very selective in how to have the aid come in. And like when we bring tenants here, most of the tenants that have come in this building start out up at our park in Latham, that they want to be up in Latham. And we say, come on down to Troy. It's a good value. And we've been selling that good value, and the city has been delivering on the value from the walkability standpoint and the seawall and all the rest of the things. So together, we've been very successful in getting the growth to be here. Many cities that don't have that.
Kevin, you're a very good salesperson, and that's because you put out sensible logic, and I appreciate that. That wasn't my question, though. My question is, how long a term lease are you looking? When you say long-term lease, what is the term that you're looking for? Is it 5, 10, 20? What's your number? What do you guys say we would like this?
The longer, the term, it's two things.
You must have a number in mind. What is it?
Well, I mean, we do leases. I've done leases from 49 years to 1 year. Okay.
Yeah.
Anything in between is customary. With the city investing into the space, you want to amortize that over at least a 10-year period, probably. I would think a 10 to 20-year period is very prudent. The longer it goes, the lower we can lock in a rate. So the lease rate is going to be a function of the term. So, I think to answer your question, I'd be direct. I think a 10-year lease is probably the minimum, and we would be willing to do longer if
A 10-year with a couple extensions
sure.
would be feasible rather than a 20-year with 1 or 2 extensions.
Yes. I mean, when you look at this transaction, the more certainty you have, okay? And we've watched real estate values come down because interest rates have come down. They're starting to go the other way.
Absolutely.
And you're going to see costs of everything going up. We've been prudent here. The longer a commitment we can have from a tenant, the better deal we can offer as far as the overall lease rate goes. But what I think the important thing is to say is this the right spot or not? We've looked for ourselves, where else could you go? The building's relatively full. I think we're 95% occupied here in the building. So the building is doing well. We hope to continue to attract tenants. We might have some tenants downsizing in this marketplace.
Yeah.
But we're in a relatively solid position here.
Kevin, I think the real issue was all these years, there's never been anything outside that said City Hall. And we've always come up to the Headley building, and a lot of people come to our city. They can never find City Hall. There's nothing here to denote it. And all these years with no sign out there kind of took away the flair, because I think it's a beautiful building.
Right.
It's a commercial, it's that power in the building. But the fact is that there's never been anything there saying, hey, City Hall is here. That's why we started looking, because we never felt like we were really here
No, right.
because there was nothing outside to say we were here.
You're echoing
You know?
Carmella to a T.
Well,
And
because
we
we think
said-
alike.
No, and I said, I agree. And we will do that. Part of
Yeah.
our proposal is to get better identification outside. I just need to get the historic people to approve it.
So when you do come with these plans, you'll have all that for us, the design of the sign and your plans and some proposals for lease agreements and different tranches, I guess, different years or.
Yes, sir. That's what we wanted to find out tonight
Right.
is what is important to you that we can come back and answer the questions and now wrap this up, hopefully.
Do you accept the mayor's AARP card?
I guess so. I get
Thank
mine.
you very much.
I just
Thank you
got
for
mine.
the answers. I appreciate it.
So Council President,
Yes.
I think
Council members.
we've all had an opportunity to ask questions, and I think now we need to take it to the next step. How are we going to handle this? Is it going to go through committee? Is it going to be a committee of the whole?
Mhm.
I think that's what Kevin is looking for is
Sure.
the next step.
Yeah. Yes, Councilmember Min.
So you obviously have shopped around to see what your competition might be. What was your best competition for siding City Hall in the city of Durham?
Well, before Catholic High sold, that was probably the best possibility.
After St. Augustine's, after.
Yeah.
We can go back a whole bunch ago.
ICC.
You know, not a lot of options and that, you know, not on the bus route, parking challenge. I mean, with all tenants in the building, we try to put tenants in the right spot. In our business, putting people in a place where they're happy and they're thrive, whatever business it is. And we think that City Hall can thrive in this property is our gut, and especially when we have the new layout here. So we think it's an ideal location if we can get your identification better and we can get the employee protection better.
The American flag.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
Don't forget
some
the
I
flags.
American flag.
talked to Kevin about that. Yeah.
And you got to turn the light on the building again because people are asking me why you don't have it on.
Council President.
We need
Change LED bulbs.
Councilmember
The
Soriento.
one thing that, so, I mean, this does seem great. The only thing that I don't like about this is that we're separating City Hall from, the 5th floor and then the 1st floor and then, and I think it should be like, okay, do floors 1, 2, and 3. These are all City Hall. Not like, okay, where do we find the council chambers? Where do we find, to pay our taxes? That's the one thing that I'm not liking about it. That's the only.
Yes, I can see that, but on the other side of it, when you have a meeting up here and you have people wandering around the office, that's not good. And there's no one protecting that space. And that was one of the chief criticisms that we had. And your meetings are after business hours, right? So we have a multi-tenanted building. We thought it would be, and we needed a way to stage the different renovations. And our architect Jacques came up with the idea, oh, let's put this downstairs. And we thought it made a lot of sense in that now it can be more welcoming to more uses of the council chamber. It just doesn't have to be once a month or every couple of weeks. We could use it for
I
public
wish we
ceremonies.
only met once a month. No, I'm kidding.
Well, we think it makes it more active and more secure, and we keep the public on the first floor. Look at, we're in an age where there's shootings in city halls and public
Yeah.
places, right?
Yep.
And we have to be cognizant of that, and we do, and that's why we have security downstairs, and that's why we try to triage people before they come up and check in with Benny, and we're trying to. So, from a safety standpoint, you got to look at it and say, okay, during normal business hours, we're going to let people come on the 5th floor when the building's open and there's plenty of people around, and they only can get into that public corridor. After hours, you don't come upstairs after hours unless you have a badge. And I think, we have to worry about safety in any
Yeah.
way you look. So I think it's a good solution with that in mind.
Yeah, I mean, so what about like floors 2 and 3? Like how long are those are obviously occupied, right?
Yes.
So how long are those leases? Because I mean, I would like to see City Hall go, have the floors.
The second floor would be cool.
Right, yeah. I mean, I think
Oh,
it would make more sense than say, oh, nope, you gotta go here on the 1st floor, then you gotta go on here on the 5th floor. I don't know. It's
Well,
like kind of-
they're two different things. Like you would never be going to a meeting at the council chamber and then going to the planning office. It's two different
Yeah, but,
trips.
Not necessarily.
Okay.
right.
Chair. There are times,
Hold on.
do you mind if
one
I
sec.
just mention something?
Councilmember Gully.
There's time during our meetings where our comptroller or our city attorney or our planning commissioner during our meeting would have to run to their office, get a piece of information, get something that we're looking for in the conversation of legislation on the floor. there's a lot of times where they have to go to departments to get information that we need to add on. So now you're
Our
thinking
clerk,
they'll have to go upstairs at the 5th floor and then come back down every time that we need something. That, I'm just putting that out there because I want you to see both sides there.
Okay.
So you can think about that. Maybe we need to put one of those little bank tubes. Hey, what else can I tell you? You gotta think about it
Are
because
you
it's something.
saying we're gonna put
happens in
Andy through a
operation.
bank too?
You get a bank tube, you know, you put it in there and it sucks it up. Oh, just some information.
Yeah,
Fun,
you got-
fun.
Andy's
No.
got one.
point well taken.
I'm
It's-
really sorry. I'm just trying to point that
No.
out because it happens.
It's a complicated operation as city government.
Clerk's
And,
office.
So
copies.
point well taken.
And, you know, one of the things that I did mention, the clerk's office with the council chamber, the clerk has, you know, two major roles. It's a very unique position where they're dealing with the public all day. And then there's the whole other side where the clerk also works for the council, for the legislative agendas and all that. So Jim is right. The clerk would need access, you know, obviously to, but you would have to run up. That is something to think about.
We do have
Yeah.
a plan for that. We studied putting the clerk's office down next to the council chamber. And we actually had a nice plan for it. It was like a DMV office where you take a ticket and you sit and you called up to the window. So we can dust that off. What happened though was when we were talking with Chris, you know, you don't need that much more space. So it put a hole into the 5th floor, and his recommendation was keeping the clerk up on the 5th floor and just put the council.
Yeah, I think you need that flow because people will stop at the clerk's, then go over, pay a parking ticket, then might hop in and, you know, say hi, you know, to the mayor. You have mentioned, Kevin, that the offices would be closed off, but that's not to pay bills also, correct?
You would pay bills, you would go to the window from the corridor.
Okay,
And
so
you
you
pay
would
your-
have access.
You wouldn't be, we're recommending you don't invite them back into the office. If you need to meet privately, you go into one of the huddle rooms.
Yeah,
Is our
okay.
recommendation.
Okay, so you're recommending a window.
Yeah.
Like they're doing now, more or less,
From
but.
a security, I think
More secure.
we're trying to make that wall, you know, your staff behind, it's still open, you can still see in, it's bulletproof for security.
Kevin, do you have that slide? that
Council
shows the-
members, Steele, sure. Yeah. Yeah, the office, yep, there you go. Thanks, Sue.
Right.
But those are the windows. Yep.
Right, and that all ADA compliant, you know, accessible.
Just like traffic court.
You know, and the 1.3, Kevin, obviously that's a estimate. This is conceptual, et cetera. You had talked about a potential partnership with that. You know, I don't think you can go into probably great details right now, but you know, I think one of the major concerns from myself at least and the public would be, you know, we're spending money, like I said, on a building we don't own. I mean, it'd be like you rent an apartment, you're only going to put so much money in, you're not going to redo the bathroom. So,
So you could go longer term. I mean, in our business, we amortize over 31 years is what the IRS considers the useful life of the property. And if you wanted to consider it a long-term lease, we would be open to doing that, which give you effectively ownership, the way, you know, or we could explore, I mean, we've never talked to the attorneys, but there might be ways to get ownership. It's hard to be partners in a building with the private and the not-for-profit or a public. We can give you all the benefits of ownership in the lease, okay? Ownership is your state of mind. I mean, frankly, you're better off having us have the liability and having us do the maintenance and having us do the operations and just operating government inside the building.
I get what you're saying. I get it. As, you know, council member Steele says us, yeah, awesome. No, often, the devil will be in the details of that. And yep. Okay, further questions, discussion? Yep, Councilmember Conley Wilson.
This is more a question for Andy. They mentioned that we could spend ARPA money on this. I just wanted to just hear, is that possible? Or is it a possibility?
It would be an allowable use, yes.
Great. Just wasn't sure. Wanted to know that. Yeah, in terms of my priorities, it's safety, it's sustainability, it's accessibility, and I think it makes a lot of sense to have all of the during the daytime hours stuff upstairs, you know, keep it the same floor so folks still understand where the council or the city hall is. And I think the added protection makes a lot of sense. Have you guys been able to talk to any like the department heads or know of if the department heads have been consulted on these?
Chris has gone around to all the department heads, I believe, and we haven't, we toured through and met with them, but we didn't want to get in discussion with any of the staff.
Mhm.
And we were letting Chris do that. They all seem very happy with the plan is our gut. And the other thing I wanted to mention is by moving the mayor's office down to the end of the building, you know, when you have dignitaries come in, you're gonna have, you might have the president come in. We want to make sure that office is reflective of the caliber of the city. And that's why we wanted to rebuild that office down here. It's not going to be over the top. But it's going to be very professionally done so that you feel like you're in a professional office is the idea. Right now with the little half door that swings and was there, it's kind of goofy. We recognize that's a deficiency and we work hard on how to correct that. And we think that will be a great image. So if you have a senator coming to town or other dignitaries, even other city, you want to be proud. I've been in a lot of city halls, a lot of town halls in my career, and I've met with a lot of people. And, like the city of Albany's building, designed by Richardson, classic, it is a terrible place to work. And that's all the staff talks about. Gary McCarthy over in Schenectady hates his building. Okay, so you own these and it's City Hall, so it's been there since 18, whatever. It doesn't work for today's government. They can't do this, okay? Kathy Sheehan wishes she could do this inside that existing building, but you can't because of the way it's old, it's built, it's outdated for City Hall. This is a modern way to efficiently run government and run open government because it's very accessible, yet it's very safe. And I think our designers did a really good job trying to get in and address the concerns that were given to us in a very positive. We're not done either. I mean, we'd love to get your comments and keep on making this better. But I wanted you to know that, the mayor's office should be prominent and you should be proud to welcome people to your city in that office.
Well,
Got-
and to welcome the public to a building they feel has more of their identity. That's, where I'm coming from. And, I obviously am very passionate about this. I mean, I told Kevin and Joe, since I was elected, it's been in every legislative address. We did put money in for the RFP and we had the City Hall committee, but I get what you're saying. I really do. And, I will say, I like the concept. A lot of work, like you said, needs to be done, devil in the details. But I also have to be respectful of the timing. We do have an outgoing council, outgoing mayor, administration. And, I was very open with Kevin about this, whoever is the next administration, do we ask for maybe a 1 or 2 year lease and let the new administration, new council, I mean, we are a lame duck council. I know we don't like being called that, but I'm not going to be here. Councilmember Conley Wilson, Councilmember Gully for sure, and Councilmember Figueroa. So that's 4 right there. So saying that, and potentially one of these folks, so.
Well, just on
so,
that,
yeah.
Carmela,
yeah.
the lease expired in September. We've been working since before that.
Oh, I thought
we-
December. I'm so sorry, Kevin.
So-
September.
The lease, as it's written now, has a holdover provision, increases the rent by 50%. We've waived that. We waived it until the end of December because we were trying to work out a
Of
deal
this year.
of this year.
Okay.
This
I
is-
see. I wasn't aware of that.
Of 22.
Oh, so
Last year.
December of last
The
Okay.
clock's ticking. What we said was we waive that if we enter into a new agreement.
year.
So
Okay.
the clock is continuing to tick. It's taken a while, and that's what the agreement says. I just want to point that out. It's not
No,
what we're saying, but
we're
we,
being upfront.
Yeah.
I want that, I want that. I'd
Right.
rather have that. And, Councilmember Gully said you're a good salesman. You're also a very direct person. And I like that about you, Kevin. I've always said that. So. Councilmember Ben, and then we'll start wrapping up.
I hope this mic is working. Couple quick things. You said, alternative locations, cash pies sold. What were your other top two that you had identified as potential rivals?
we could find many other properties. There's vacant land. You can go down into the south waterfront. You have some brownfield cleanups, right? Years to get that going. There's no building of 40,000 square feet or to 50,000 that we know of that's currently available. So you'd be looking at a new build for real estate. So obviously some of the south waterfront property down by the jail, Strikeman had showed us a few pieces down there. In the core, we think that accessibility is really important to City
Yeah.
Hall. So being on public transportation, when you overlay the CDTA bus routes, in this section, you got to be along River Street somewhere. So we had a hard time identifying any other really viable sites. There's deficiencies with a lot of them.
Yeah, I mean, and also when you have a government building, it doesn't pay taxes. So any property you acquire or purchase pulls it off the tax rolls.
Right, so that's actually a good point. In our operating expenses, so we've been paying taxes to the city. You can eliminate that, we can do it through a pilot or whatever to take those taxes off. It's not efficient for you to pay taxes to yourself.
That is- And then you mentioned the challenge with the historic nature of the building. Is this building listed as an individual building on the state register?
Yes,
And so exterior work would have to be approved through
Yes.
the state.
yeah, and they've been very reasonable, but we just have to make the application with the signage. I don't think it would be a problem, but especially the River Street elevation is what they're very interested in. This building amazes me as a builder. There's not a crack in the concrete. We can't even do that these days. Whoever built this, it goes down to bedrock. I mean,
Yeah.
and if you go down into Joe will take you down into the guts. It's very cool building.
Yeah.
And there's so much history here. It really does reflect Troy. The industrial manufacturing heyday of Troy is reflected here. And we want to try to promote that throughout the artwork and the way since I took it over from John Headley, I said, we need to bring the factory back. So now when you walk in the front door, we brought the factory back. And I think it's important that the community realizes there's a lot of hardworking people. My partner Debbie's family, they're Armenian. They lived on 9th Street. They all work down here. There's a lot of proud people because of their ancestors working in places like this. We want to bring that back into City Hall.
And Kevin, that has been missing for 10 years. I've been on the council, obviously, 7.5 years. And, I know we keep saying it, they're just never, ever melded that partnership or that identity or that feeling. Like every time I come in here, I feel like it's city floor,
Now's the time, help us. Okay. That's what we're saying is, give us ideas. help us do a good job.
Yes, Councilmember Mann.
You do have something that's very iconic, and part of the reason I asked if the building is listed or not, to see how much wiggle room there is, the smokestack. And we talked about placemaking and planting a flag, both an American flag and
City of Troy.
City Attorney.
City of Troy
Yep.
on the smokestack. Let Albany, the hose, Latham just stare with envy.
I mean, we had actually had designed for that, to paint Troy on the smokestack, which I think would be incredible. And they showed us this paint that if you shine a certain kind of light on it, it like lights up.
Illuminates.
Oh, yeah.
We'd be,
And what you can do with projected, and what you have
Right.
done with projected light.
right,
Has only gotten more sophisticated. So I
Yes.
think placemaking component and the directional guiding people, you know, so that when you walk into the building, you know that there's a direct path to City Hall. And I think there is an advantage for city council chambers to be on the first floor, because sometimes our meetings do go a little long. And there are some other amenities for food.
Right.
And drink for our audience members.
Right.
And members of the public to enjoy.
Well-
Wait, bring on the popcorn.
Yeah.
So perhaps like live stream on our YouTube channel, actually live streaming into the restaurant area.
Oh, yeah.
People could be watching as they're waiting, and then come in at the appropriate time
we could do that.
with the drinking.
And signage is also a big conversation.
Signage.
Yep.
Well, and I'm a big one now. I like the council chamber being, you know, as much in person as possible. And yes, we've gone hybrid and all that, but you know, we want to encourage folks to be a part of government. Yep. All right, further questions, discussion. Kev, we'll get back to you and we'll talk, and, you know, I think, you know, I'm getting the sense from the council that they want to continue discussing this. So,
Terrific.
very nice job. Great concept.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. We look forward to continuing.
Just
A lot of work ahead
Yeah.
and devil in the details, but thank you so much, Kevin, Joe, and Kevin.
Thank you, guys.
And,
Charging you for using my line.
I did attribute it to
Right.
you, yes. Thank you so much, Kevin, Joe, and Kevin. Now, hey, Joe, the light though upstairs, are you in pain? You look like you're in pain. Okay,
It's aging.
he's
there
not
for it.
old, he's not old,
You don't have to be old to have that out.
but you can still do a couple colors, correct? Upstairs?
Going on the exterior, repairs and then we're repairing.
Nice, cool.
Why'd
Thank
you put
so
that in?
much.
How long ago was that put in?
That's what Monica was saying. Okay, so
Yeah.
Planning. This is planning.
Yeah. Good, that'd be great.
Awesome.
A lot of people would like to see that.
Yeah.
Thank you
Thank you,
again.
Calvin.
I do apologize, Kevin, we didn't get your name. No, are you with Kevin and? Awesome. We haven't met. I saw you obviously on, yes, very good. Okay, thank you, guys.
All right, take
Thank you. Come on up. Yeah. I'm so sorry. I saw you on Zoom. You're much different, honestly, in person. It's nice to see you. So Jim, Councilmember Gully has been waiting for this for months and months and months. We want to welcome you wherever you would like to sit at the table. Thank you so much. I don't think it's Maria will help out.
Thank you.
Teresa, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank
and-
you for inviting me. My name is Teresa Newton, and I'm representing the Troy Community Land Bank. I also wanted to introduce, we have Albert Watson is here. He's the treasurer of Land Bank, and Jeanette Nicholson, who has been a very long time member. The board at the Land Bank has been absolutely phenomenal. I came on board in October, and the support has been great. So I'm going to give you a quick
Albert,
conversation.
Jeanette, do you
about-
want to join up here? Okay, all right. You look comfy too.
Yeah, we've gotten a little comfortable here. So I'm just going to give you a quick report on 2022 and a little bit of conversation about the plan for 23, and obviously open it up for any questions that you might have. So I've been asked to do an annual report. It'll include goals, our target area the land bank has, which is North Central, some information on board of directors. Sorry if this is squeaking on you. Highlights, challenges, goals, financial update, which I'm sure you're interested in, and then we'll just have some closing remarks.
I love the picture. Nice.
Yeah, there's some great ones here. So this is the board. And I just wanted to sort of outline a little bit about where the board members are elected from and where they're brought in. And we got some photos up there. I'm just missing Jamie Maker, but this is our board.
And are we still short a council appointment
Yes.
and a mayoral appointment?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Oh, and Lansingburg School District.
Oh,
We
you're
also need one.
kidding. Okay. 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 We'll contact Timmy. Okay.
Thank you for that. So of course, our meetings are open to the public. They're held here at City Hall in the Planning Department, and we do post them. This is our website where you can find information on it. We are moving into a new website, updating the one that we have. Probably will be ready by the end of next week. So stay tuned, take a look at it. Accomplishments for 2022. I'll talk a little bit about the North Central Neighborhood redevelopment plan. We completed some pre-development work for Legacy Cities Access, which I'll talk a little bit about that. We were awarded grant funding, $200,000 from New York State Homes and Community Renewal, which covers operational costs for the land bank. We also sold 3 properties and purchased 3.
And, Teresa, real quick, and I'll let you continue, but out of defense for the land bank, you've gone through a lot of challenges over the past 2.5 years. And I really want to commend how you really bounced back. So
Thank you. Yeah, it's been a great experience. Heather King has been phenomenal helping, and the rest of the board really have been so supportive. And I'll say also people here at City Hall, the code office, everyone has been just so supportive, and they're really been helpful. So thank you. Our North Central Neighborhood Plan actually started in 2019. It's the city and Habitat and Housing Authority and the Land Bank. We got together, we looked at North Central. Some of us can get money, like the Land Bank could get money for demolition, or Habitat was really looking at doing new construction, and the Housing Authority was looking at different HCR funding. So it made sense to look at different parcels that we had and sort of do some planning with it. And that's where we came to this plan that we've been working on. And you'll see it in a minute, but we made this plan, and it really focused right on North Central. And then we went to work getting the funding that we needed to address the needs. And I wanted to share that this is the first fruition of our plan. Those lots were owned by the Land Bank and sold to Habitat so that they could put new construction on it, because the Land Bank didn't have opportunity for new construction funding, but we do have opportunities for rehab and renovations. So this is exciting. Our goals for 2023, we're going to continue that work on the North Central Plan. And part of the North Central Plan for the Land Bank is to do this Legacy Cities project, which I'll talk about in the next slide. We got funding to do, we got funding from ARPA money that we're going to spend the rest of that. We're going to demolish 3 vacant blighted buildings. We're going to continue to apply for funding opportunities and develop a sustainability and strategic plan. We recognize that the land bank depends on grant funding for a lot of its operations. And also that this land bank operates not necessarily the same as other ones across the state. So we're going to engage with, we got money from the state to do this. We're going to engage with Tarek from the Center for Community Progress, and that's all he does is land banks. He's going to meet with the board and give some suggestions, do some, homework, and we're going to make a plan to say, what does this land bank look like going forward? How does it self-sustainable, and how does it do the mission that it's intended to do? And lastly, for 23, because we're not going to have enough other things to do, we're doing some pre-development work, and there's a phase 2 for the land bank initiative. I'm going to talk about that in just one second too. So we're working also with the RPI Urban Design Studio, and they are actually doing new construction on Park Avenue, as that was also land bank property. Well, it still is. We haven't sold them to yet, but their buildings will be fully green. They'll be electric and off the grid. It's kind of cool. Thank you. That's the word I was looking for.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Teresa, real quick, have you identified the 3 demos?
Yes, 785 River. I'm going to say my numbers are wrong. 871 River.
You could email
and
us. if
yes,
that's
yeah.
easier.
absolutely.
Okay.
So these are the sites that are part of the Legacy Access project. They will be fully renovated. They're all being de-densified. So for instance, 3215 6th Avenue is a 2-family now. It'll be, instead of 2 flats, it'll be like a flat and a half for a homeowner, and then a 1-bedroom apartment going in the side, so that we can move bigger families that purchase these homes and they can have a rental income. And it won't be as, like, the River Street properties are 3 units each. Those will be 2 units each. The mandate with this is that it has to be sold. These are going to be homeowner properties when they're completed. The homeowners are going to be required to go through homeowner counseling, and they will be referred to Home Headquarters, which does affordable housing, mortgage lending, and counseling as well.
Teresa, the 7th Ave, that's right across from Central Little League, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Okay. I was looking at it the other day.
Yeah, that will be, currently it's 6 units. It will be
Okay.
just
4.
3. No, 4. Thank you. Yeah, 2 and 2. It's been a long day
It's okay.
getting my counting together. So I'm going to be very brief. I know we didn't want to keep this too long, but current financial status, operating costs, as I mentioned, are covered by a grant that we got from Homes and Community Renewal. All of the outstanding loans and debts that were with the land bank, except for their loan on 791 River Street, which is almost completed. They're all paid in full, and the ARPA funds are ensuring completion of the Legacy project and of several other standalone projects as well. I wanted to talk about, this is provided by our auditors, our year-end statement, and I did bring copies of the audit. Anyone who'd like it, I will hand them out. Just let me know. That you can see our net position at the end of this year is 667,662 versus last year, which was 170,748. And that's a result of selling some properties. It's a result of ARPA funding, obviously. So that's that. Closing remarks. So the Legacy project, we just talked about it. We're going to continue our partnerships, our involvement, seeking additional funding. And I have a very exciting news to share. Heather just emailed me, texted us that we had applied, the board met together, and Steve Strickman came, and Reverend Burks from the community. And we talked about there was funding available and what would we like to see in that neighborhood. And so we put together a 1.75 million application to Homes and Community Renewal, and we just got it today. So yeah, really excited. So that money will do more demolition. It will do new construction with Habitat in the target area, right where these legacy buildings are, in the same north central depressed area. It also allows for some facade money for homeowners. So we're very excited about it, and it was perfect timing, because then I could give you the good news. I think that's the end of it. And I also have these books that I was going to share. It's a little bit about land banks, and it's pretty interesting. So can I answer any questions?
Yeah, just a comment, Teresa. I always, I talked to Heather about this, working for the legislature. I saw the land banks when they first started, and there's some really super successful land banks. And I always had this vision for Troy's Land Bank, and it never really took that next step. And it's none of your faults. Some of the land banks receive substantial monies from their county government or local government, Rochester, I'm thinking of, and Albany County, obviously. But, it's good to kind of see this new focus take a step back and really, I don't see the land bank being the owners of property, being the property managers. You're the facilitators, you're the tools, the technical assistance, and some financial to help other, like Habitat for Humanity and others. You're the
That's exactly it.
ombudsman. for
That's
humanity.
exactly it. And we have the opportunity to get funding from the state and federal government and pass it through.
Right.
We really, shouldn't be landlords. We shouldn't be some of those other things. And maybe that money won't be here 5 or 10 years from now, but while it's available, we want to make sure that we bring it to this community. So.
Well, I'll say, and I can't speak for the council, but I think they'd agree. We'll do everything humanly possible to make our land bank a success. And I'm really pumped with the new vision, new leadership, and I just want to thank the board. I know Andrew Cooper, the whole gang.
Yeah.
They really put a lot of time in, and Jeanette and Alfred. So, I just want to say kudos, and I'm certainly here for whatever you need.
Great. Thank you very much.
Other council members?
Thank you.
Thanks.
Council President,
Councilmember Kelly.
your board structure, I didn't see anything up there for executive director. Are you eliminating that position?
So I'm going to step back for just a second. There's some legislation that's in place right now. I'm not acting as executive director. I'm a program manager at the moment, and I'll sort of explain why. There's legislation Governor Hochul has proposed that will address the in rem and foreclosure process, and it could change the way that the city it works with foreclosure process, and would certainly change the way that land bank would be able to obtain properties.
Mhm.
There's also a Supreme Court case in, I think, Michigan right now with the same type of issue.
Yep.
So and also when I came on, just before I came on, the land bank was in significant financial straits. So my recommendation, my thought was, why don't we do this sustainability? And that's when I went to the state and we asked them for the money to do a sustainability study, because we didn't know, you bring in an executive director and you say, oh, by the way, we might not be here next week because we don't know what our funding is.
Yep.
So it seemed appropriate, and I think the board agreed with it, to sort of get the sustainability plan and then decide, bring on an executive director or do something at that point. I think, once we're able to do that, and it may not be till July that we really get into it, because that's when the Supreme Court decision is supposed to happen. Then probably a structure will be set up at that point. For right now, I'm doing a lot of the director work. And then we've also reached out to, someone who's doing our website, because I don't know how to do a website and those type of things, a
Yep.
there's still a bookkeeping company. There's still those other services, but not any staff at the moment.
We may be better off to do that than look at hiring another executive director and just subbing out those pieces that make more sense for the taxpayer. How about your contractors? Are you opening the door to other contractors, using the same contractors? Because the biggest complaint we heard over the past few years is that your projects start, but they never finish. And I know that was part financially, but to be real with you here, just what is your plan to make sure that now these projects start moving forward accurately and effectively, so you can turn over your dollars, can turn over your money, so we can create success in the land bank? Because we need you to be, not that we want, we need you to be successful in the city.
Right.
You're a
Um,
partner with us.
Right. So the plan is not to be developers, to work with developers. Habitat is a partner in this new money that we got. We see Habitat being very successful in completing their projects. And, looking at the legacy project, we need to know that those properties are going to be sold. We're not doing the development work. We're getting the grants for them
Yeah.
and then draw down the grants for them. And we're
Yeah.
done. We're out. We're not doing that part of it. That's not what we're good at.
So, and I understand that legacy program is vitally important strategically to the land bank. We all know the success of that weighs heavy on you guys, but my question still is the buildings that you have, you still have other buildings out there. What are your plans? You're going to sell those off to somebody to develop them themselves? Are you going to
Well,
continue to?
We don't have a lot left.
Well, that's good to hear.
Right. So the ones that are left that aren't part of legacy, there's 2 I'm counting on my hand. And we were saving to see if we got this money.
Okay.
So the plan is, now that we did get this money, that Habitat hopefully will be that person, and they've shown extreme interest
Yeah,
in doing
good.
some of that work. And if Habitat wasn't, we have a couple backups, but we wouldn't be the developer.
right, good.
That's
Yeah.
right.
I never really pictured the land bank being in that position, but it seemed like that's a position they were put in or driven to.
Probably.
And it just didn't really seem like it was working. Well, we know it wasn't working. And I'm glad to see the transition and the change. And I have a lot of faith in the people you have on your board. I have experience with them. And I think that we can finally maybe take a little bit of a breath and see how we move forward here, because it was pretty disastrous before.
Yeah.
So thank you for your time tonight. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
To put it nicely. Councilmember Teresa, Councilmember Min.
Teresa, I was wondering if you could speak a little bit more about your partnerships with RPI's architecture program and how you're better connecting the city, the land bank, and RPI.
Sure. And I'm sorry, I took it out because I was trying not to spend too much time here. So Brian Barker is RPI grad, and he actually put this together with TAP, and there's 2 different sections of it. It's a RPI design studio. One is new construction and one is rehabilitation. The new construction group has been working with Habitat, and they're going to do this Park Avenue projects. They'll be, I think, duplex homes, but they're the zero energy efficient homes again. And the professor who's doing the renovation part of the RPI urban design, he's away for 1 year. So he will be back, and the students will be back doing that. The thing that they do that's cool is they work with RPI, and they have like that oversight of those architects, and they bring some really new and cool ideas to projects. We have a demolition on Park, and their group went through to see if they could do any of the salvaging of that. They weren't able to. There was too much mold and stuff in there. But I think it's really cool that we have these students who are bringing life into North Central also. So one of the other things that we're doing with this new money that we just got, we proposed that these NYSERDA students with TAP will not only help with the facade grant money, but they're also going to do assessments for envelopes and accessibility. So these same families, if they have if they're there already doing facade work, oh, by the way, your chimney's broken, let me draw something up and help you get some bids. And if you need to get accessibility into your home, we can connect you with these other people. So these are students of architecture who are student interns with NYSERDA who will also work with the architecture students to get the work done. Kind of cool.
But I really want to say thank you for that. I know it takes a lot of work and it builds a lot of relationships, but I think the more that you see that bridge between RPI, the city, and other organizations that are having one, it fosters a whole generation of, architects, engineers who better understand small industrial cities and how to infill and renovate what we have, which is a much more environmentally friendly way of developing housing. And 2, it's showing it's a change. We haven't been,
Right.
RPI has a new president, and I think the more collaboration, and I really strongly encourage everyone to highlight that partnership. So thank you for doing that. You're really having an impact.
It's
on
Brian
people's-
Barker. He's been wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm excited to do it too. So it's great.
Great. Awesome. Any other questions? Awesome. Teresa, please thank Heather.
Thank you.
Thank you to the board members who
Thank
are
you.
here.
Yes, huge
and the
thank
board
you.
Members who are out there watching. Thank you for all your hard work.
Oh, I thought it was gonna go. There would have been a whole new meeting to drop the mic.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes,
absolutely.
Yes,
please.
you may.
Thank you so much,
Thanks,
Teresa.
Teresa.
Very nice job, by the way. Thank you. It's nice to meet you in person.
Thank you.
Thanks again, Teresa. Thank you. All right, now to move on to the public forum. Would anyone in the audience, we have a ton of people here, like to speak on any item on the agenda? Okay,
We
we'll
have a
close
voluminous
the
agenda.
public forum.
We have-
I know.
voluminous.
We have a heavy duty agenda in front of us here. One item, and you should know, some council members expressed we should have canceled this meeting, but the two presentations were very important. So thank you. Resolution 43, resolution proclaiming the month of May 2023 as No Mow May in the city of Troy, New York. Councilmember Steele. Is there a motion? Motion, Councilmember Conley Wilson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Minton. Discussion.
Council President.
Yes, Councilmember Soriento.
As nice as this sounds, I just want to say that this is going against the New York State Property Maintenance Code, section 302.4. The height of the grass cannot exceed 10 inches. The city of Troy, it states it cannot exceed 6 inches. Unless we have any type of approval by the state, I don't think it is a good idea to even vote on this because we are going against the law. And we're basically asking the code enforcement officers to go against doing their job, which could potentially risk their code enforcement license. And that doesn't get issued by the city of Troy. That gets issued by the New York State. I do have an issue with this. I don't even think that there should be a vote on it because whether you vote for it or against it, we might be breaking the law. I just want to throw that out there. So I'm not going to vote either or on this because I need to know. I don't want my name on this legislation.
Rick, do you mind joining us and kind of, giving us your thoughts here? And Councilmember Soriento, I understand what you're saying. I think Rick looked at this, so we'll see what he says. Thank you.
The section that Councilmember Soriento is referring to contains an exception clause. It says, except as otherwise provided by statute, local law, ordinance, or other regulation. The height of the grass or weeds cannot exceed 10 inches, I believe. Grass is a type of weed under the state ordinance. So I read that as giving the council the authority to enact another regulation. I view this as a very minor deviation from our own code, which is more strict than the state code and from the state code itself. It simply allows 1 month grace for a fairly good purpose, I think,
Pollination.
pollination, propagation, production of honey, gathering of nectar. I don't think, I very much doubt that anyone at the state would look askance. And I have a very good legal argument that they should not.
Council President,
Councilmember Soriento.
I still feel that the only thing that I will say is I would like to make a motion to amend this, or not to amend it, excuse me, I'll take that back, to table it until we get actual physical written approval by the state. I understand it seems like it's not a big deal, but it actually is. Because what if next month, or, I mean, if next month, let's say, let's proclaim that, we don't have to install sprinklers into a system for the month. I mean, I'm just saying, maybe I'm going a little extreme here, but this could potentially be a big issue. There could, I mean,
Well,
It's
here's
also going to
before you
attract-
make the motion, I'm with you. Maybe Councilmember Steele, would you mind trying to at least get something in writing? Maybe, I'm not sure if we could get it, but we could bring it back. I mean, we're going to have a finance in May, but that's,
What
it's
are
up to
we,
you.
what are we bringing back? I think we've just had our,
The
le-
res, though.
we've
mean,
had our legal opinion, which says
Yeah.
that contrary
Okay.
to what
Okay.
Councilwoman Sorrento believes, that's not
it's not what I
exactly.
believe. It's black and white, and I
But-
would like
but-
approval by the state.
But,
That's it.
but we don't need approval by the state. This is already enacted in communities throughout the state. Our sister city, Saratoga, has been doing this for several years. They were slapped with this same criticism, and their legal counsel, like ours, said that there's nothing to it. So I think that I'll be happy to provide, I did provide the letter of support from our sustainability task force. I can provide volumes of research. I can provide newspaper articles,
okay.
whatever you wish, I'll be happy to provide, but legally, there is no impediment to this resolution.
And Rick, you feel our code, I'm more thinking the code enforcement officers, you feel that they're fine for a month waiving.
They
Yes.
exercise discretion every day in enforcing our code. And this is simply a resolution, authorizing the mayor to direct them to exercise a little more discretion on weed height for 1 month.
And Council President, I would also just stress, this is voluntary.
Right.
So you can
Yes.
still mow your lawn.
We're not forcing people to do anything against their will.
Council President,
Councilmember.
I
Theresa.
understand that this is voluntary. However, if the city receives a complaint because someone's grass is too high, in 2 weeks, if you don't mow your lawn in 2 weeks, that grass gets pretty high.
I know.
What if we receive complaints? Hey, we're getting rodents, because, or snakes, or, as nice as this seems, it's very concerning. Until I receive something from New York State that says that we can approve this, I don't feel comfortable voting yes or no on this.
Okay.
And I think it's important to table it.
So are you making a
I
motion?
am
to
making a motion to table it.
There is a motion on the floor to table the item. Is there a second? Okay. So the motion fails to table. But I do want to agree on one front. I did express a concern with Councilmember Steele when we talked about this legislation. I guess two major concerns. My first was I'm concerned that absentee landlords and, some really irresponsible, I should say, absentee landlords will take advantage. And how I see it being taken advantage is the fact that they'll go the month. And believe me, I get calls all throughout the summer, the past 7 years, to ask code and DPW to ticket, mow the lawn, bill the taxpayer, et cetera. My concern is it's going to be so long after a month. The irresponsible landlord is not going to jump to mow that in June. And so my concern was that code is going to have to obviously, ticket them, et cetera. But DPW, it's going to be a ton of work for DPW to mow that lawn because they do a lot of lawns. It's just a concern. I'm not honestly picking battles, whatever. I'm going to vote for this. It's voluntary, but it is a major concern of mine with the irresponsible absentee landlords. Then number two, are the neighboring folks, the gentleman who I already know, and I won't say his name, obsessed with his lawn, just meticulous, and then right next door,
I live that. I am living that, had the discussion before I came
Yeah.
down here
Yeah.
today with my neighbor who had just mowed his lawn. But he has assured me, and so here, baby steps,
Yes.
that he had it at the highest level. So he made a compromise.
Yeah.
And I thought that's positive. That's
That's
a
a
start.
Start.
Council President?
Yes, like 1 second. And, like I said, I'm voting for it. You pick and choose your battles. I love, obviously, pollination, environment. It brings, wonderful, wonderful opportunities for, ecological and environmental sustainability. However, those two major concerns I do want to go on record. Councilmember Go.
Maybe we should consider an amendment to this that would, my thought is, right in here, there's a no mow May hard copy that people can download and put in their window. Maybe we would say that everyone that has the no mow May printed certificate in their window would not be affected by code, but if somebody was a distant landlord or somebody who was just doing this to escape the system and they didn't have that no mow May sticker
I
in the
like
front, maybe
that.
you could,
I
maybe
like
we
that.
could.
The Corp Council is going to tell us we.
You're gonna
can't
tell me
do
you
that.
can't. Well, why not?
I like
If
that.
we put
I
the word
like
in here
that.
that they
Because
have to have that in the window.
won't be enforceable.
Right.
Yeah, but who's gonna know?
Discretionary.
The court.
Well,
We're gonna
they'll never get that far. The judges throw it out anyways. For Christ's sake, they want
No,
votes.
no, we're doing much better. And
I hope so.
we really are. We have a new judge in there. And
Thank
seems
God.
very interested. But there's still a lot to do. But
Good.
you're just not going to be able to enforce again. I put it in my email.
But you understand the point, right?
I understand the point.
Yeah.
I just think that.
The sheep herder's gotta
And-
take
and
care of
the
the
other thing-
sheep.
the thing about this, it's kind of an experiment. If it doesn't work this year, you don't have to do it again next year for sure.
You know who's going to get all these calls.
Well, and then it'll
You
come, yes, okay.
Probably
I'm sorry.
me.
I mean,
You too. Hey, you
Yeah.
want the spot? That's what it is.
So,
So that was just my thought. Maybe we can change some verbiage, put something in here that would kind of significantly limit the ability for a lazy, miscalculated,
irresponsible.
that's what I'm looking for.
Yes.
Irresponsible landlord to cut their grass the way
Oh, I
they
was
should.
just going down to the clerk's office to get it. Oh,
Just going to
my
get,
neighbor told me about it. I never heard that you actually had to have the sticker. It's
but
just
then why is your grass that long? Have you never heard of it?
because my neighbor is keeping their grass that long. They're the ones who told me about it. I didn't realize I had to come down and get the sticker.
You're lucky there's a speaker in front of me, right?
Further discussion. Okay,
Council President.
Councilmember Conley Wilson.
Yeah, we discussed this the task force at one of our more recent meetings. And yeah, we put together a letter. We thought about some of those concerns in terms of like, well, what if a neighbor doesn't like it? And we were kind of like, well, it's, only a few weeks, and, having that notice can really help. I think this is exciting for me, to,
If you don't want to cut your grass.
no, I do want to cut the grass. But I do, it's exciting for the pollinators and all of that, like, Rick said. Cutting grass isn't my favorite activity, but, it's fun to use the power tools for sure.
Yeah. I like to do a lot with grass too.
So, and maybe we can think about,
Audie,
I'm hoping that this can also encourage folks to think about different ways that they could support pollinators while, maybe not just not mowing, but planting native perennials. So those are plants that come back year after year. So the butterflies and bees and other pollinators have something to live in. And, I know Beeman Park actually used to have a pollinator garden. So maybe thinking about reviving that in the future. But yeah, this is a great step, I think, and glad to have Rick here to kind of make sure that everything goes well. And yeah, I'm hoping that the signs can help mitigate the absentee landlords and, we should be able to identify them, I think.
And I did just want to, if you could let John know, that his last sentence, he did say, that the resolution ensures co-regs, blah, 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 are suspended for registered participants. The registration is not going to,
Yeah, we rewrote
talked
this,
about that.
In March, when we thought that was kind of our
Yeah.
suggestion, but.
Yep.
yeah,
Registration is
100%.
good for any program that you put out there to know who's there and who's not.
But if somebody doesn't register, they can still do it.
Yeah.
That's.
Council
And
President, I want to make
Councilmember
sure that my name
Soriano.
is not on this. I'm not going to be voting yes or no. I just
Well,
don't.
you'll have to recuse,
I
but
will
you
re-
need
A
a
reason.
reason
That
to
is-
recuse, but a recusal is on conflict of interest. So I think like a
Vote
no
no.
vote, yeah,
Yeah.
only a recusal is because of a conflict of interest or, just, but just not voting,
You can't
have
not vote. You have to
never-
vote yes or no.
as the parliamentary, I would recommend you go yay or nay.
Okay.
Okay. All
Let's
right,
go. Let's get this
further
meeting over.
discussion?
I would call a question.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
No.
Opposed?
No.
Okay. Resolution 43 carries 5-1, one absent, and we'll go to the regular meeting in May. So we'll be a couple days short. Councilmember Soriento, I did just want to say, I truly value all of your opinions. Yes, I know. I'm just saying. Okay, I'll take a motion to adjourn. Motion, Councilmember Gully. Is there a second? Second, Councilmember Soriento. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. We are adjourned.